Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, and I'm joined today with hubby.
Hubcap.
And it's just us, nice and relaxing. Loved our guests, but the energy feels better for me working. So today is March Critiques, and we have 4 awesome pieces. We have Amy's Lighthouse, we have Brittany's Cutting Board, we have Greg's portrait, and Beryl's heron. I've been wanting to call it a stork, but it's not a stork, it's a heron. So we are going to get started with Amy's. Hopefully everything sounds okay. Hi Eve, Sharon, Amy, Spence, Sheila, Alani, Big Flip. Welcome. And did I get everybody?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm pulling out my colored pencils because that's what I use. Alrighty. And Amy, you've done a beautiful job. I'm not sure how long you've been burning. I don't think you mentioned that. I love the composition. I love the moodiness of it. I think there's some things that maybe if you tried a little differently, you'd be more happy with it. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. You did a great job. Oh, what wood are you using? Because I'm not exactly sure what that is. I don't know if it's pine or maple. It's not something I normally burn on. So I am not sure what it is. Let's pick out some colors.
It's our third burning.
Awesome.
So I have
Good
a question.
job.
Is she doing like a stylized, or what's your intent here, Amy? Is this realism, or is this kind of like your style that you're doing?
That is a good question, because what I recommend is going to change. If you're going for realism, that's going to be different than if you're going for more of, what, say a pop culture look with the outlines?
Well, this kind of reminds me of, we were talking about Muka the other day.
Yeah.
And he had some lithography that was black and white, you know, some monochromatic stuff. And it kind of reminds me of Muka. And
yeah,
so
I can see that.
His work was like really stylized and had a very specific look. And so I'd be curious to know if Amy is doing a particular style or
just learning.
Yeah.
Which either one is just fine. Now on pine, I don't recommend it, and most pyographers don't recommend it, because where you see the grain that's darker, that's a harder grain, and where it's lighter, it's a softer grain. And I'm sure you found that your wood burner went lighter on these darker grains and darker on the softer grain. Plus you have more sap in pine, and that interferes with burning. So if you can, people, I suggest birch, basswood, or poplar. I do birch mostly, but you do have options. So Amy says she's just learning, so we're not looking at particular style. The clouds, I think what burner are you using? Because that'll help too. If you're using the Versatile, it's not going to burn as smoothly on the pine.
I thought she was using an Optima.
Is it an Optima? Well, I know Brittany
maybe
is.
That was the other person.
Yeah, I know Brittany is. The reason I ask is some of your burning up in the clouds are a little uneven and streaky, and it's probably not what you were going for. And the biggest thing, especially in these clouds, is I would try to avoid these outlines. And I think that these outlines are what Jason was talking about. I'm feeling Muka-ish is because of the outlines in the clouds. Though you can definitely do it, but I'd say decide what kind of style and technique you want and do that fully. Because like on your lighthouse, you did a beautiful job shading the body of the lighthouse might be able, I'd say, be able to go a little darker to get more of that roundness in there.
Walnut hollow.
Walnut hollow. Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering about in the clouds. Depending on which tip you're using, if I use the walnut hollow, which I don't care for, I use the spade tip that looks like this for shading. And if yours has a little ball on top, some of them have it more pronounced than others, I sand that off. But I would go in small circles to smooth it out and kind of blend it in, especially since you're doing clouds. They're gonna feel more out of focus, and with the lines, it kind of draws your attention to this. Even though you have this wonderful lighthouse and this whole scene right here, the clouds are drawing your eyes up, and I don't think that's what you're going for. Now, in your lighthouse, where you have your darks,
I'll be back.
okay, where you have your darks, you can definitely go darker on these. Let's see if I can get this even. Because
Don't talk about me.
I'll find a story. We'll find it. We'll find a story. These darks help balance out your lights. So with this light in the middle, when it's darker, this is going to be even brighter. Let's see here. Now I wanted to ask, did you freehand this on the board or did you transfer it? My lead feels loose in the other one. Let's see here, this is actually a door. Because if your drawing's off, no amount of burning can help fix it. So just paying attention. If you don't want to transfer, that's totally fine. But spending more time looking at your reference photo to get things accurate is definitely going to help. Let's see here. So we do want this darker based on the reference, because we got our light source is looking like it's coming from this direction. There we go. So round things need to have the contrast to make it feel rounded and not flat. And then bringing down our shadow, going darker. Will help actually soften the sky. Which I think you can definitely do the dark clouds, but in order to have it feel the way you want it to, you've got to have the darks down here in the bottom. And I know darks can feel overwhelming. Let's see here. Sometimes you're afraid you're going to go too dark. You see how much this already stands out, having the more darks? Okay, freehanded. It's not a bad thing to do a transfer. There's nothing wrong with transferring it. You know, trace out your basic lines however you want them and transfer to the wood using graphite paper. That way you don't have to worry about that, and you can do the least amount of lines that your brain needs, because in the end you are freehanding the rest of it in. But this way everything you know as you're going is accurate. Let's see here. And in the end, it may seem like more work to transfer, but in the end, because you know your lines are accurate to what you're wanting to burn, that actually makes things go quicker, because you're not trying to figure out how something got thrown off a little bit. Now, I do recommend that if you are waiting in the car at a doctor's appointment to have a sketchbook and a basic set of graphite pencils so that you can practice drawing, and those drawing skills will make a big difference in your burning. Alright, so this one piece, oh, we got a shadow. It's coming in this direction from the rocks. So even in doing this can go darker. I wouldn't go black, but definitely darker. You could almost go to this, let's see here, maybe this shading to help balance out your stuff. Okay, that's a dark line. There we go. Now we don't, oh, okay, I see it. I should have probably made this photo bigger. Okay. Because right here, a little bit off on the top. So there we go. Maybe kind of make this more of a circle. And this still goes darker for the roof, but not as dark as where the lighthouse is keeping the light blocked. So looking at this, your lighthouse already stands out so much more. And you're doing all this beautiful work. You want it to say, hey, I'm here. Because this is a lot of work. Go. My lines may be off in this because I need to sharpen my color pencil. Other than that, you chose to have windows, fine. Let's see here. So on the water, it's the same as the clouds. You want to do what's called negative burning, where you don't want anything burned in, you burn around it to make it stand out. So instead of outlining, let's see here.
So, have you been reading the comments?
No.
Okay, so she says free-handed?
Yes, I saw that.
And Lana goes, Art says hi.
Hello. Alrighty. So if I'm going to negative burn, I want this square to stay white. I would negative burn the area around it, whatever tonal value is needed for whatever I'm doing. This way I don't have any lines. I know I drew lines, it's just so... Actually, I guess so if I'm negative burning, I always tend to work in small circles for the most part. If I need to outline something, I will do it very light, especially if it's going to be a dark area around it. Because in doing it light, I can blend those lines out into my burning. But if I burn dark and then try to do something dark next to it, it's harder, unless it's a really dark next to it. It's harder to blend it out. And see, I still have my square, but now I don't have an outline. Or if I have to outline, I can blend that line out. You don't see it anymore. So that's why I recommend, not for realism, trying to stay away from outlines. Now, like I'm doing this would look like a thick outline because you're doing a thick area. This would look like a thick outline, but those are thin metal bars, so that's totally okay. But like drawing in the windows, that throws it off. And let's see here, you've got water. So in order to make our water stand out, we would do these rocks darker. Let's see. And automatically by going darker next to a light, it makes that light stand out more. Let's see here. This is also a rock back here.
Doug's here.
Hey, Doug.
Doug says, "You think your helper would make sure your pencils were sharpened?"
There's certain things I don't ask my helper to do because I'm so picky. And I forgot.
You're picky. What?
Yeah, that's why you don't sand my wood. Because I am picky.
I've never heard that.
Let's see here. It doesn't... There's some splash up in here. This is more rock. And all I'm doing is going by your reference photo. If you want it to look a little different, then by all means, go for it. Alright. So just in doing that, look how much the area, your main focus, already is popping out. And the thing is these clouds are important. They give you the sense of emotion that you're wanting to convey in the piece. So they definitely need to be there. But if you notice, your rocks in your reference photo down here are darker than the clouds. So by lightening the clouds up a little bit and going darker with the rocks, it'll balance it out more. And then for the water, down here at the bottom, again, it would be more negative burn. And it looks like you have it laid out pretty well, even with water, where it is folding in on itself, it's darker. That. This is definitely a very moody picture, so you want so much of that mood in here. We got some of this, and it does go lighter. And then you have your white on top, of which you would use your rocks. I'm trying to see if I can get rid of the outline just so we can see. Luckily with rocks, you don't have to be exact. As long as they look like rocks, you're good. Alright, so this is darker. Going soft. I can always darken. Moving this out. Again, we got some spray up in here. So let's go darker here. Work it out. There we go. Blend those darks out to your medium tones. Here. Don't mind my strokes. I'm just trying to darken. There we go. So here it would be lighter. You spending more time looking at your reference photo than you do your board will help you to see things you normally wouldn't. See, like right here, as I'm looking more at the reference photo and I've gotten to it, there's that wave folding over on itself. That shape is really important, but we're not going to see the shape as much unless we do some negative burning. Let's see here. Bring it down. Kind of shape it and see we've got our lighter on top. Alrighty. It always helps and makes it feel less daunting to start off light. And since you have the versatile, you are able to dial down your heat. So I would start as low as you can. Pine is going to completely burn differently than the other woods. And so you'll feel that difference. Let's see here. We have a bit of a fold here. Just following the shapes. If it's easier to flip it upside down so that your brain's not trying to correct things, go for it. Your brain will try to correct all this information because it won't feel right to it. Let's see here. We got a line there. We got a splash here. That splash. See, this splash is a big one, this wave. So in order to make it stand out more as a wave, you have the right idea right here of burning the sky. It would be a soft burn. But in doing that, it makes this white stand out even more. Let's see here. Looks like these are rocks here. Let's get those in there. Okay then. And it's, I think, totally fine that you changed the wave. I don't think that's a big deal. But by smoothing things out and doing the negative burning, it makes the light stand out more. It smooths out your water. So you would have to keep kind of... Oh, and with water, even though this is coming up, your foam on the beach is going to be horizontal, not so it's going to be burned this way. Even if you have to curve it, that's totally fine, but it's going to be burned this way, not vertical, because then it makes it feel more let's see here, more fuzzy versus the perspective of being... So if you have to turn your wood to get that perspective, so by turning it just 90 degrees should help you get that curve you're looking for, or the stroke you're looking for. Always, it's easier to turn your board than it is to stand on your head.
Mm.
What?
Yes.
So let's see here. Circles, small tight circles, blending out for your clouds. If you're interested, I think I would sand back the clouds a bit and then try to smooth them out. The lines are pretty dark. I don't know how well you'll be able to get those out, but if you wanted to try, I think it would be worth trying. Let's see here. And we do have great, let's see, you're aligned for this. See, once I negative burn the side of this lighthouse right here, watch how much it pops out. Whereas you didn't see where the lighthouse ended and the sky began. Now, I may be off on my line, but a soft burn.
He says, goes without saying.
Oh, on standing on your head?
Yeah.
Oh, some people can do it. I'm just not one of them. There we go. See, now we have the full body of the lighthouse. Again, I may be off on my lines, so don't judge me. I'm just trying to show. And by keeping this side lighter, this side will be darker. And it's just a matter of balancing out. And since things curve, we need to follow that curve. And it gets lighter as we get closer to the light source. And see, I don't know if this is somebody's drawing. I think this was somebody's like rocky beach photo, of which they digitally put in a lighthouse, because things. Let's see, this is darker.
Amy says, "Just call me handstand."
Have you been doing handstands? All right. Yep, no reason to do handstands. Turn that board. Alrighty.
It's where that one rotating design that we saw at the show would have been good, but it needed to be more of an angle.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him further. There is another person online making those, selling them cheaper. So it is what it is. I told him I'd share it. I'm not endorsing it, because I like my easel. I like being up at this, what did we decide, about 70 degrees?
Yeah.
At least.
Beryl's here.
Hey, Beryl.
And Brittany.
Hey, Brittany. So, Amy, do you have any more questions? Gotta wait for the delay. Let's see here. While we're waiting for the delay. For your highlights on your phone, if you wanted to. Let's see here. You can add some white. Let's see here. Let's check out this one. I'm just waiting for Amy to respond.
No more questions, but thank you so much. Learning a lot.
I hope it helped. There we go. You're doing a fantastic job. Can't wait to see you do more burning, especially if this is only your third one. I'm really impressed with how you jumped in and just went for it. It's so cool. There we go. So you could add a little bit of white to it if you wanted to. And yeah, that's about it. Don't be afraid of these darks. These darks are your friend. They help you create the art that you're looking for. Beautiful job, Amy.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
Awesome. Now we're on to Brittany. Now, I have not been shy about saying I don't like lettering. I just don't like doing it. It doesn't call to me. Can I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? No. So, I would say that some of my knowledge is probably less than in lettering. The techniques of getting what I want, I have more experience in. But like the smooth strokes and whatnot, those I just don't have the experience because I don't spend time doing it. It's just not something that interests me, but nothing wrong with anybody else doing it. So Brittany, I went right into next person. I'm pulling up what Brittany actually was talking about in her post. Now she makes these acacia. She made this acacia cutting board. And the one thing I told you I needed to look at the wood and do a little bit of checking on the properties. One thing I found for acacia, though, it's great for cutting boards and furniture, and it's sustainable. Now, whether this theory is true or not, I cannot validate. It's something I read on one of the furniture websites when they're talking about it, where they were talking about acacia. It is an ancient tree. that archaeologists found charcoal in a pit, and that charcoal inside, so once they cleared off the charcoal, the inside of that charcoal was acacia, and it didn't burn very well. So this may lead to some of your issue, because you were talking about having trouble filling in the letters and using dots instead, because if you try to do it solid, it was unreadable. So this wood may not be the best choice for burning. Again, I've never burned on it. I don't know how valid the theory is, because it is a hardwood that apparently is very resistant to scratching and denting. Those may cause issues with what we're trying to do with the wood. With that said, I definitely think you should turn down your heat and kind of outline whatever area you're doing first. That way you're not getting the indents, because you said you were using the 9MS or 9M writing tip, which is not that one, which is this one. It's a little bit smaller than the ball tip. It's the next size down. I put my pencils down. So it may be that this tip is too pointy for you. It is possible, depending on how the grain works. Again, I've never burned on this wood, so I am only going based off what the quick research I did this morning. But it may be that this tip is too narrow for the grain, and so it's getting caught down in the... It's beautiful wood. And I think you did a beautiful job on everything else you've done, and even the lettering, I think you've done beautifully. But I think maybe this tip is the wrong tip for this wood. Based on your lettering, I'm wondering that you may still have problems with indents, that depending on the size of the actual burning that you're trying to do, especially for like the thicker letters, using a ball tip of different sizes may glide a little better for you. Let's see here. What is that? Where's my ball tip? There it is. I had it plugged in because I was about to use it.
Brittany asked the question, but I think you're going over it right now. She said, which would you recommend as a pen? I have a medium ball tip.
Medium ball tip? Okay. I think for the size of your lettering, let's see here. Yeah, for the size of your lettering, whoops, switch. That the... And are you, when you're using the ball tip on the lettering, are you having a problem with that also indenting on the wood? Because I definitely can see it dimpling. Let's see here, but based on my printout, this would be a good size for small lettering. And for, we don't have an example of flowers, so I'm not exactly, are you looking at more stylized flowers like what you see that goes along with hand lettering? Basically what you're doing here, a more stylized flower or a more realistic flower? Because even a stylized flower, and we're just going to be real simple here. So even if you're doing...
She says yes.
A stylized flower, where you're outlining, and again, don't judge me, my petals may be off. So based on how I drew this with the light here, even with a stylized flower, you're still going to have some shading on the opposite side of where you want your lighting to be, which may get a little confusing. Let's see if I'm doing my light source of this. Paying attention to how, because the lighting is going to shift. Let's see here. This is back. We're going to have less lighting here, or less shading here. So just paying attention to where you want your light source to be will help. Again, this is quick. So even that, and then if you put your leaves in, or stem, paying attention. The lighting is also always, the shadow is going to be opposite of your lighting in this particular style. So where everything overlaps something, there will be a shadow that'll blend out. So we have a petal here. These two petals are overlapping this flower. So the darker is going to be opposite and under. So like here, the stem would be darker, and it would lighten wherever the light source is hitting it. I would suggest, I don't know if you're doing journaling and hand lettering practices, but if you are, I would say go ahead and doodle out flowers and just with a pen or a pencil, just practice putting some shading on it from different directions. See what you like. And if you're doing a circle, you'd have to commit to the lighting like straight on, and then your flowers would follow however you wanted that lighting. For, let's see here, the family is what she said wasn't smooth, so I would definitely use your medium ball tip for this type of lettering. For the Novak, or Nowak? I don't want to, no, Nowak, sorry, my bad. You could actually shade this lettering in different ways that would make it dynamic. So this would totally be personal choice, where you could make it like shade it like a ribbon. So down here we would see the ribbon going under, maybe. This is just an idea, this is not. And then we got over here, because it's going this way. She said you recommend turn the heat down.
Yes. What temperature would you recommend to start?
Since you're outlining, I would go as low as you possibly can where you can still see the outline. That way you're already... I don't know how this would burn, so I really can't comfortably give you a number. Like your blacks, what were you set on for your blacks? Maybe that would be a better question. Because then I'd have a kind of a clue what we're looking at. So for your darkest darks, what did you have the pen set at? And then for your lights, what did you have it set at? Because I wouldn't even try to go, I'd say maybe the color of here, just really light, just enough so that you've got your outline, you can remove any graphite, and then you can build it up. But you could, 5. So black is 5. Okay, so it's burning. Let's see here. Black is 5. I'd say, if I had to guess, a 2. If that's a 5. Mind you, I know you probably stained the wood. So 5, which is about right. So that would make it kind of similar to birch then. Yeah, I think a 2, 2.5, just to lay it out.
And 3 with a spin shader for light.
Okay, so we've got the 9M, we've got the spoon shader, and we've got the medium ball tip. Are those your 3 pens? Because if so, that's totally fine. I think your ball tip will do the most of the work, unless it's a bigger area. Let's see here. This is okay. But no. This is more of a charcoal. What is this? It's just a drawing pencil. I was waiting to see if that was a yes on her pins.
She said, I think 5 for dark, 3 with a spoon shader for light, and not,
small round.
Also have the small round skew.
I think the small round skew would cause you problems on this. I think, especially when you try to go against or across the grain, the small round skew might be too sharp, and we'll dig in. So in this case, I don't think that's the best pen. I do think your medium ball tip is going to do the best, because I see what you mean about like it bleeding a little bit and you're using dots, which the dots could actually be really cool. You know, that could be a stylized choice. So anytime you don't like it, but it looks good, you did it on purpose.
Huh. Really?
Yes.
I'm going to remind you of that.
No, it doesn't apply to me. If I screw up, I screwed up, period. I actually like the dots on your leaves. I would be like you, wanting a smoother burn on the and family. And your NOAC, just shading a little different here and there to give weight to different parts of the lettering. Because you've already got, you know, your thicker parts that in the lettering itself means a heavier weight compared to the connecting lines. So I would just be like, you know, artistic and decide what I liked. Because let's see here. I'm going to suck at this, but we're going to do it anyway.
She says, and the spear point shader.
And the spear point.
That's what, she also has that.
Let's see here. I'm going to suck at this. Alright. So, don't judge me. Or you can, just laugh. It's funny.
Okay.
I suck.
No.
Alright. So we've got more weight. And change colors, maybe. We've got our thicker areas that have more weight. So I would definitely like round them out and leave some areas that are lighter. Depending on the size of your lettering, the spear shader might actually, the tip of it, at a lower heat setting, might be quite helpful. Let's see, we can make that darker or thicker, I think. It has some highlights hitting it. And
Brittany says you're amazing.
with what?
I don't know. I mean,
if you're saying this is amazing.
I know you're amazing, but I don't know what the context is for her.
I think the only letter I really like doing in calligraphy, or hand lettering is, let's see if I can do it. Or M's. I like those.
You like M's?
I like M's. They're easy. So if I did it M like that, I guess we... Okay, I like N's too that way. So yeah, I would just practice sketching your... Because I know there's different styles to it. And it's not something that I spend a whole lot of time doing. I mean, I try to do it like my Tombow markers when I was, which I need to get back into doing my, what is it called? My calendar journaling thing. Can't, spacing it. Just gotten so busy.
Bullet journal.
Yes, my bullet journal. I was starting to practice lettering and, yeah, just very frustrating for me. But sitting and just, you know, while you're watching TV, just kind of chill and practice seeing what you like. Because just because you see somebody else doing it that way, maybe that's not what you're looking for. See, just by putting these stylized lines in to show shading, it gave it more of a stylized feel. And I actually like that better than the shading. So if I was doing leaf, you know, maybe I would do it more, not like that, curved. And just use, you know, use lines, kind of like what I did with the pears last week. Use some lines for shading. Experiment, because I think you're already off to a great job. Again, I'm sorry I don't know the wood, and I'm not big into lettering. So I wish I could be more help with that. But I think you're onto something that you are having fun with, and that's the most important thing. The one thing on your layout, if you're going to, are you like drawing your circles so that you can put your leaves over that circle to keep them even? Because if not, I think the circle guide would just help so that when you're, you know, trying to draw your leaves in, you keep them at the right angle. And also, by that time, you could have had your lettering laid out, because right here, your K is really close. And now, it could be perspective, but I'm looking at the burning here. It's really close, whereas this has more gap.
She says yes.
So kind of balancing that out a little bit. Let's see here. So the line, let's see here. So let me see if I can see the line.
She says yes, but I'm having trouble with it.
Yes, I'm having trouble with it. With drawing the circle, a compass. A compass. And what you could do, so are you burning directly onto the wood doing your lettering, or are you transferring your lettering? Because if you're transferring, one thing that could be very helpful in making your pattern is the program Photoshop or GIMP, and there's a couple other ones where you could lay out your circle, you know, create one of your leaves or flowers, and then cut and paste around the circle, and then you can make it bigger or smaller, and then have, you know, adjust your lettering so that everything, you have it all laid out in whatever the printout is that you want, and then transfer it to your wood, and you know it's on. So if you wanted to, you know, curve your leaves in a little bit on the stem, you could, because you know the body of the leaf or the stem is in the circle that you wanted.
She says draw on paper, then transfer and burn.
Okay, so you're already doing the base part. By any chance, how do you feel about Photoshop? I do the $10 a month. I know you can do it free, I think, for 30 days. So maybe try it for 30 days and see what you like. And what I would do is draw each element that I wanted to repeat. I would draw it out on paper, take a photo, send it to the computer, open it in Photoshop, you know, cut and paste out that leaf or whatever it is that you're wanting onto a circle that you've created using the shapes in Photoshop. And then you can plug them in, plug in your lettering, print it out, and you're done. So you're actually drawing less because you would only be drawing your elements once and then lining everything up. And that might help a bit more. So, my circle wasn't too bad of a circle there.
So
got lucky.
You offered the professional perspective. I'd like to offer the perspective of somebody who's professionally lazy. So I don't really use Photoshop that much, but the kitchen is a great option when you're looking for circles.
Yes,
because I do a lot of planets, and so yeah, you just put the dish down, draw out whatever it is, the size that you need. If it's relatable for what you're working on, because that might not do for everything. Yeah. But like Val said, like a compass, if you don't have a compass, like sometimes for like really big circles, if I go to do a large planet, I'll take some yarn and I'll take a tack. Yeah, that works. You wouldn't want to do that with the wood though. You just want to have to press it in the center so that it doesn't move. But that way you can get your arc. You can attach that to a pencil, and then you can make a circle arc that way.
In fact, you could tape down your paper onto cardboard and do it that way. That way the cardboard's holding your thumbtack and draw that way. No,
and when I'm doing lettering, because I hate lettering also, it's a lettering, like, I learned it actually in the military.
What's that?
It's when people do sign lettering, they'll draw like the baseline and the midline and the top line.
Oh yeah, the three. Well, I think her lettering is good.
Yeah,
I think she's definitely. You're talking about
it keeps
these?
it keeps me on track, because otherwise, and some people use grids too, so that their spacing on the words is equal. But that's really helped me, because I have a tendency, if I do it freehand, like my letters get bigger, or they get smaller, or they arc, or they get further apart and closer together, and then like I get to the end of the line and I have to squeeze letters together. It looks really unprofessional.
Well, if you're just laying out lettering, the best way to do it, so you've got the word "the" and you want it to be even, you would lay down the H first.
Lana says, I use dishes for my circles too.
Yep. You would lay down the H first. That way you have your guides, and then you would put in the... so what you're doing is splitting it in half. But if you're drawing it out, or you're using a grid, or you're using a Photoshop type program, all of those work. They all work. So whatever works best for you. Yeah, I don't see... Other than the F being off a little bit, and I know that's because you're having problems with how it was filling in, I think your lettering looks great.
I do too. I think it looks really nice.
The only thing that throws me off is this side of the leaves, and that's because I think if you would have just turned the stem opposite of each other, that would have helped you kind of balance it out a little bit more.
Well, I see what she's going for, because it's directional.
Know. Yeah.
If you had it like at the bottom, if they're going opposite directions, then it would be almost like a wreath. Yeah.
Actually, a little bit bigger. I think you could even keep them the way they are. Just pull it out and make your circle a little bit bigger, so that your letters have room to breathe, and then it wouldn't feel like what I was talking about. So, Brittany, any more questions? I hope I helped. I hope I didn't make it worse. Again, this is not what I do. And there's beautiful pieces out there. And I love looking at it. It's just, I don't have the time I would need to spend. I always end up getting stuck. People wanting me to do lettering, but not what I want to do.
Yeah, I despise lettering.
I do too. All right, now we are. Thank you so much for sharing, Brittany and Amy. We are on to Greg. Greg is already sealing this. He said he used the black and white photo for his reference. This is a family that he's done many burnings for, and I think you have been off to a great start. I think you're doing a beautiful job. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is finished yet. And I know you're getting ready to seal it. You're in the sealing process. So anything I say cannot be fixed on this piece. Totally get it. But I'm looking at the black and white. And I also did a sepia, just so I had an idea. The beautiful woman's clothes are darker. In fact, we need dark here. That's a good dark. A little more dark here. See, unfortunately, you didn't get the best photo, because I noticed when I zoomed in just a little bit, the lighting is directly at them. So you have no dynamic lighting. In fact, you can see it here. You can see the reflections on all the high points here on the wood. The photo lacks shading under the hand and in between here. Where you would normally have shading, the light has blown it out. I think.
I see what you're talking about. It's like they're in a spotlight.
Yeah, exactly. And in doing that, all these beautiful tones kind of get washed away a little bit. I don't know if her skin tone is a little darker. I do looking at the black and white. I think you got him good. I think you've done a great job on his skin tone. I know how nerve-wracking it is. You don't want to mess up anybody's face, but I think shading, if you do this burning again, because I think this is your second one, this one. But going darker is totally okay. In fact, there would be a dark here under his chin, and this helps shape his face better. I think you did great on the tonal value of his hair. What I would do if I got a picture like this is I would ask for some other photos of these people where they're not they're not being posed, they're just in natural light, because that will give you a much better idea on the tonal values of what their skin truly is, because the reference photo they gave you is just, I don't know if that was professionally done and they paid for it or what, but even in a professional setting, they don't tend to do lighting like this, because you really can see it on the wood right here. Let's see here. See how washed out that wood is? That tells me that there's a light source right here pointing at it. Let's see here. Looking at their face, there's this high highlight here in her cheek. Again, that's the same light. Zooming into their eyes, you can see the bright highlight. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to throw Greg around here. But having another photo of each one of these people so you can see the tonal value, you could still use this photo as a reference. Now, this young lady, you gotta get the shading in. I know how nerve-wracking it is for you, but the shading is what shapes the face. It's what makes them feel like peoples.
Angel's there.
Hey, Angel. Let's see here.
Greg says, yep, nerve-wracking.
I know.
Yep, second larger one, and yes, still hesitant of going too dark.
But in this case, you've got these beautiful darks. I know it's nerve-wracking, but these darks need to be celebrated. Love your darks. Because these darks are what's going to really give that feeling you're going for. Nothing else works. Nothing will work as well if you don't have the darks versus these lights. You can have beautiful midtones, but if you don't do the darks and you don't have the highlights, those midtones just become blah. And they shouldn't be blah. And that's a very technical term. Blah. I'm not saying your piece is blah, so don't take it that way. I'm just talking about what happens when you don't have more shading. Alright.
Also, too, something that we've been running into lately, or you've been running into lately.
What's that?
Is, not all of them, but haven't you been having a problem with, like, some of the burnings getting lighter after you've been sealing them?
No. Only one, and that's just because I didn't go dark enough.
Oh, okay.
That was my bad. No, the rest of mine, no. They've been fine.
He says it looks darker in person overall.
I'm sure it does. I don't doubt that, because photos change things. So I'm really trying to...
You're very talented, Greg. Because, like, if I had a photo like this where it was so small and
No, it's small because I made it small.
Oh.
It's this size because I made it this size in order to fit.
So I'm that guy. I'm Zoolander now.
But you're my
Needs
Zoolander.
to be like 6 times bigger.
You're my Zoolander. Let's see here.
But I have had people who wanted portraits, and they're from small photos, and
those are the worst.
it makes me want to dress them as ninjas. And they're like, look, I made you guys ninjas. Like, we can only see your eyes. Yes, but don't you look cool?
Let's see here. Just by adding this little bit of shadow, look how much more her face, make sure I get it right, her face stands out and has more of the smile in it. So even just going a little darker makes a big difference.
Well, I want to say too, like technically, like these are really good. Like,
oh, his lines are all on.
A lot of times when we see, like, I was looking through one of my old sketchbooks the other day, and it's just awful. Like stuff that I thought was on and it's not. But like a lot of times you see people's work, and especially in portraits, and you're like, nope, they didn't get it, you know. But like you're getting spot on with these, and that's like so important. That's like a lot of the battle right there. It's getting your proportions correct and getting a correct and accurate likeness of somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot of highlights from the lighting, and that's what's washing her out.
Greg says he blew it up to 20 by 16 inch to see.
Okay. And how'd that go for you?
Did it make it fuzzy, I wonder?
That's why I'm asking if it... Let's see here. Alright. Try and grab another pencil. So, on the shirt, the red is darker than the gray, and the black and white, same as the sepia. You can see it in the color photo, but it's harder to discern. I think you did an awesome job on all your fabric wrinkles. They all look really good. But I do think...
Angel says portraits are much harder than people know. Yes, they are, because like anything else, if you do a tree, and people will say, you know, oh, that's a nice tree, but then you have people who are familiar with that kind of tree, and they'll be like, let me just scrutinize this. But whenever you're doing portraits, you're usually doing that for somebody who is really, really close to that person, and who knows all their aspects, and who's going to pick out anything at all that doesn't look like the person. And so, you know, it's the worst. It is the hardest.
Alright. So what I'm trying to do is build up some of the darks. So when I go to shade over...
He said that the picture resolution was good enough not to get fuzzy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Again?
Sorry.
I gotta find a story to tell about you now.
Yeah.
You keep leaving, so now...
I'll be back. I'll be back quick. There'll be no time.
You keep leaving, so I get...
story time.
Okay, so this is gonna be messy. I'm just trying to fill this in quickly, just so we can see. Because we have his beautiful dark tonal value in the gentleman's face, but it stands out even more so, as in there, it almost looks like two different pictures, because I think you nailed his tonal value. You might be able to go darker in a couple other places, but I think that's all choice on him. Okay. So I'm just trying to lay this in quickly. Great detail on the cuffs. I just want to show what happens with his face in conjunction with her shirt. We don't want them to stand out separately. They're a couple together. We want them to be together. Let's see here. Seeing this, we know white, especially where it's folded, would have shadow. Shh, don't tell him.
All right. Some lies.
Darker. And where they're closer together, that area is going to be darker because, again, we are forms that curve. The main thing is I just want to show the tonal value.
Well, Angel says I've only done a couple portraits for learning and felt scared I was going to end up with a mutant.
Oh. But even a mutant is a learning situation.
That's true. Greg says he might have ran out of gas to darken it more.
Well, that's... I feel you on that. When you get to a point where you're just like, no, I want to be done. I want to do something else. I totally hear you, especially when this is the second time you're doing it. Let's see here.
I knew it. You guys were talking about me. Philip.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I'm surprised Angel hasn't said anything, though.
This could go even darker, but time is of the essence. So in that, his pants would also be a little darker. I'm just going to throw it in there. You've got great highlights. You did a beautiful job on the folds. So I'm just trying to get the tonal in there. I'm not... See, that's got a good shadow right there. And that shadow is the lighting source that's really throwing this off. What?
Chat. You got me. You got me good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know that tone.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I was good.
Well, changing the subject from me, chat. Looking at you.
I didn't do it.
Looking at you, Angel. Looking at you, Philip. You, Sharon.
He's just gonna look at all you. How's that?
Well, Greg says regarding the portrait that she passed last November, this large piece is for him.
For him?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
That's sad.
It is.
I had to do a memorial piece once. It's always hard because it's like extra expectation.
Yes.
You know?
He is just being a butthead today.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this line separating them, it's not a line separating them, it's the shadow created by them coming together. So it's a very good shadow. Let's see here. Now the wood, I know this wood would be darker. I don't think it would be a bad thing to necessarily take it darker. Now this is completely an artistic choice, in my opinion, for my work. So nobody take it personal, please. I especially for commission work, unless it goes with the piece, I personally don't care for the burnt edges. Again, personal piece. I think this would go much better matted and framed. Because it is such a serious and important piece. I think sometimes the burnt edges can give it more of a playful style, which contradicts what you're doing. Again, it's definitely my personal opinion on that. If you like it, then you do it. I just don't care for it for finished pieces, especially for commission work. For a portrait, because to me this is really dark. So you've got this dark edge, you've got the darkness of his hair, but it's lacking any other dark. So now you're paying attention to his head and the border. That's the first things you see, because it needs more darks. And plus I know there's lettering up top. I cut that out just so I'd have room. So for me personally, I choose not to do that technique, but that's completely personal. Darker here. I know it's quicker just to burn the edges than it is to cut in a frame or a mat. And trust me, I hate cutting mats. It just makes me so cranky to have to do it.
I don't like it when you cut mats either.
Because it makes me cranky. But the finished piece makes me feel so much better with a mat. But again, personal choice. But if you're going to do the burnt edge, you really need more darks in your subject in order to balance it out more. Let's see here. In fact, there would be some... Even if you have to just pick a lighting direction, it's a little slightly different than the actual photo. Because if we look, just by adding a little bit of shading on our hand and arm here, it separates but feels like he's more formed. Let's see here. His shirt is lighter. Like I said, I know it's overwhelming. I know you're so worried about messing up that you just stay dark or lighter. But I promise these darks, regardless of what you're burning, those darks is what's going to give you that dynamic, finished feel to it.
Well, I tell you, I understand that fear of going
dark. Yeah.
I really
I still have it.
I used to, but I don't as much anymore. But all of my media that I work in is
easier to fix.
Is much easier to fix. Yeah. Like even if I completely, as Angel said, make a mutant out of somebody, and I have, I can paint over that. Yeah. And I can paint over the whole thing, or I can select a part to paint over and redo it. And even if I'm working in charcoal is even easier as long as it's not fixed, you know.
Let's see here. Her hand is washed out. So let's curve that hand a little bit. Curve the fingers a little bit. Let's see here. Yeah, this lighting of this photo is definitely not helping you.
Yeah.
And that you're going to have to make artistic decisions. Like her fingers are bending down. But in the reference, he looks like this, but he's not. Her fingers are bent down. And where those fingers are bent down, they would be darker.
Beryl says...
Up to the knuckle.
Beryl says, LOL, I know Val is going to say I have to go a whole lot darker on mine.
Well, you're still working on yours, so I will be good and not say it as much.
Here's a pro tip for you guys if you're doing critiques. Just take yours into the photo editing program and then darken it way up before you submit it to Val.
But no, that's not a bad suggestion. Darken it up. Take a photo.
What?
Darken it up. Hold on. Let me show you. Greg, I'm going to borrow your piece.
Hmm?
Well, because what I'm going to quickly show, hopefully, is I'm going to show, understandably...
Angel says she will say it with love.
I understand... darn it. Darn. What? I'm being good.
I just know that if the camera was off, the words would be different. That's all. Yes, and they'd be a lot of different words.
Yes. Okay, I'm trying to get to Greg's photo because I want to show him. Because what you said is very true. Take your picture of your burning, take it and darken it up and see what you think then. And then...
Yes, Beryl, it is counterproductive.
Alright. So let me crop it out a little bit.
I was just being silly. Actually, what I oh, okay.
You have to. Alright, I always keep my phone on not bright. Alright, so there we go. So we have the original. Hopefully I can get it. Now I'm going to go to a bit of
see pretty good.
Hazing, dark. I'm going to work with my contrast.
Brittany says she's too afraid to try a portrait.
I think everybody should try a portrait.
You know what?
You will learn so much more.
Portraits will make you a better artist.
Yep.
No question. They will make you a better artist.
Let's see here. Let's darken up these. Because there's less information to darken up in the shirts, it's not going to be exact. Let's see, calm that down just a little bit so we can get closer to the burning color. There we go. So just this little, again, it's not perfect, and there needs to be more burning information. So before, after, before, after. Even this little bit of adjusting allows you to see.
Oh, okay. At first I wasn't seeing a difference. I'm like, oh, I see no difference there.
Before, after. Now it's going to show up differently on the camera because of how everything's lit.
Beryl says that we should all try to do Val.
Do that.
For a portrait.
Why would you do that to your eyes?
Oh, you're beautiful.
Anyway, let's
Don't be
move
like
on
that.
from that conversation.
Don't be like that.
Let's move on. Alrighty. So, I would still go even a darker shade on her outfit. Darker on his pants. Their pants, I think, you're really good.
Brittany says,
if you want to take my icon from YouTube, if you want to burn that, I would love to see what you guys do. I think it would be awesome.
okay, but you're going to be a ninja.
I don't care. I want to see all the creative things that they can come up with. Whether it's giving me horns or whatever. I don't care. I want to see all the creativity out of it.
So normally, like you normally Photoshop your horns out?
Yes, exactly. They can put them back in.
Okay.
Yes. Ah! I'm doing it again.
What
Sorry.
did you do?
Oh, because of how I have the paper. So I just go darker.
Well,
It's okay. It's okay, Greg. You
Philip,
can go darker.
Philip says a bit with the phone is a good idea. Must try it.
Yep. It's another thing to help.
So
You gotta have enough burning down to be able to adjust.
all joking aside, like our critiques, the people have been being very, very mature about
Yes.
their comments. Because let me tell you, I've been through a lot of art school critiques, and it is occasionally this mature, but mostly not. Normally, people are like defending their work, even
Yeah.
if it's bad, and they'll be like, "It's a stylistic choice. I chose to make it that way. I hate you all."
And take their painting and go home.
Yep.
Yeah, but you don't learn from that. You don't.
No, you don't.
You don't learn to see your art in the way other people see it. Burl's asking what app this is. This is Photoshop Express. It's free.
Really?
And if you it's free. And if you have, it's free.
Angel says, "Oh, with an Optima. I thought you meant burn her flesh." Angel's back.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Greg says, "Thank you for your help."
I hope it helped, and I hope I don't feel like I threw you off. You've got a great base. Just give it some more. I know it's hard. Even if what you could do, if it would help you in this, is just take one small aspect of whatever burning, and take a scrap piece of wood, and say it's the hand or it's the eye. Just burn that and maybe some of the surrounding areas so you have context to what you're doing. A hand would be great because there's a lot of shading in hands. That will help you to practice, to feel more comfortable in going darker. African American skin has beautiful tones and so many ways to create it in burning. I think They're the most interesting skin to do, even though I haven't done one. Now, teeth are not... What?
Haven't done one, eh?
I did an African-American eye, but I haven't done a portrait.
Sounds like a challenge.
Not right now. I gotta get the darn magazine stuff done. I got less than a month. Or I got about a month.
That's true.
So right now I cannot... I have no idea what we're going to do for next week because I know we need to do the community burn. I need to get that how I want it. I just don't have... Oh, another thing I wanted to point out is I see this a lot overall in portraits. You know, somebody will have a picture where the person has sunglasses, or they have a graphic t-shirt, or they have a Hawaiian print, and they burn that in. And now, Greg, I think yours is small enough here that it does not take away from your whole piece. But I would look at if somebody wants you to do a commission, and you know they got crazy clothes on and sunglasses, I would ask them, I would talk to the customer, the client, about removing the pattern, because the pattern takes away from your person that you're trying to honor, I guess. And doing a portrait, you're honoring that person. Unless it's a soft print. But I've seen a lot where you see the sunglasses and you see the shirt, but we lost the person. And so I think it's worth looking at and discussing with your client on pulling any of the print or graphics that somebody may be wearing. I think it's okay to have solids to do, because her shirt, the way you burned it, has motion to it. It takes you up to them. And I think that's great.
So Angel has a question, and it might be a good idea.
What's that?
Have you done a session where you're prepping your reference photo in an edit?
I've done a fast one.
Have you?
Like super fast.
What about that for a live? It might be a change of pace, but it might be interesting.
It depends on what. How have you done?
Brittany would like to see a video of that.
If you look on my channel, I do have a video. It's where I'm doing white hair. It's white facial hair. And it's really fast, sped up. It is how I laid it out in Photoshop. Here lately I've moved away from Photoshop to make my patterns on the light pad. And I can't remember. I did have the light pad on camera, but I can't remember which one that was. Was that Christmas one? Was that the Christmas ornaments?
I don't remember.
I will look at and see the best way of doing that. Like I said, I've gone back to the light pad so that I can control the information better, and I can sit instead of standing at a computer. Beautiful job, Greg. I have no doubts that they're going to be really happy about it. For everybody, if you're going to have clients, you're going to take commissions, you really need to be good about talking to them, expressing what you like and you don't like as an artist in the photo, because maybe some of the things can change to give it a more dynamic look, to express more of what they're looking for in the piece that they're getting from you. Talking is good. All right, we got Beryl. We have the heron. Now this is the pattern she's using is a Cheryl Dow pattern. She pulled this reference online just so she can see how the feathers are going. Beryl is not finished with it yet, obviously. Though I'm looking at the wood. What kind of wood is it? It could be my printer, but I'm seeing lines here. If there's lines like this, well, yeah, it looks like it's a piece of wood glued together. So I'm curious about that. I forgot to ask her. Oh, I know what this is. This is Trikel birch. What am I talking about? It's birch. This is my printer. Duh. I'm getting tired and hungry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can speak to So I discuss. Let me think on it, Angel, because I've got so much to do. Beryl, I do have. She did this same pattern a year ago, and I am gonna quickly. I didn't pop up the. That is not the right one. Let me see if I can pull the right one really quick. That's her line work. Come on. Work with me. Here we go. So this is what Beryl did a year ago. There we go.
Wow.
That's the piece a year ago. Mind you, it's not the same size as what we're at right now. So you can see it was, I'm going to quickly enlarge so we can see the feathers, maybe, if it lets me. It's only going to let me go so far. If you can see, Beryl did a lot of straight lines for the feathers. Now, let's move this over. This is how Beryl is doing the feathers, and I think they look beautiful. I know they don't have the detail in it yet, but just the shape and the shadow and where the highlights are hitting. I'm really liking how your feathers are looking on the new piece. Not that the old piece from last year is bad. It's more of a stylized feeling to it. Whereas this is more realistic. I'm liking that better.
You can really see like how much Beryl has improved.
Yep.
It's amazing. Like the layering on those feathers. And I know that she's working
She's
her
not
way
done.
up.
Yeah.
But the layering on the feathers is really, really well done.
Yeah, let's see if we can get there.
I do the same thing. I have a few paintings that I do over and over again. And I like to go back and see how I've changed and improved, and it's interesting to see how we develop over time.
So Beryl, what did you want me to look at? I know her and I talked earlier today about the white feathers, and I think in her case, mind you, they're off-white and a little beigey. For the higher whites, I think in the end. Her best choice would be acrylic white paint with a detail brush for the high highlights. I think that's going to work out better for her. Now the reference is not the same as the drawing. She just pulled it to have something to look at, so it does kind of throw me off because I've got to remember they're not the same because I'm like, oh, this is off. They're just not the same. It's looking great. Have you decided what direction your light source is going to be? Because that'll depend on how you shade your stalks. If we go from the back, your grass is going to shade differently depending on what direction the light is coming from. Let's see here. What else? I think you're off to a wonderful start. Do you tell me what you want me to tell you? I think you're doing wonderfully. I can see your improvement, and I think that's awesome. It's so awesome when we can see improvement in our own art. It makes us feel so much better. I know you're not done, so things will go darker. So I'll be good about that. Let's see here. So I think there's definitely going to be shadow where feathers overlay each other, which you've already started. I'm just waiting for Beryl to give me an answer what you want. Tell me what you really want.
Angel says she just wants to come hang out with you guys for a couple months and learn your knowledge via osmosis.
So you went a couple of months. It took me almost 14 years. If osmosis only worked. Oh, God. If only. Let's see here. Your strokes are looking good. You're following your feather direction.
Beryl says in the reference you don't see much detail in the feathers that she's done. In the light direction, she usually chooses to go from the right.
From the right, so we're looking that way. Well, unless you're right on the heron, you're not going to see a whole lot of definition in the feathers. Your feather is going to be more shadows and light versus you do see more detail up here because these are stringier. The texture has changed between the two feathers, so you see that. But as for these feathers, you're not going to see a whole lot of detail because we're not right up on him or her. We're going to be looking more at the light. And I think you've already got that started. I think sometimes we stress too much on details. And in this case, before you use that against me, in this case,
too late.
You're not going to see all the major lines on the barbs because it's just not that close to you. I know we can zoom in and see more detail, but this pose in this direction is not very close to us. Yeah.
That's an interesting topic too, because a lot of times how much detail that we choose to replicate or put into our work will often dictate the feeling of the work, like how far away you're supposed to be. It's like atmospheric perspective,
yeah.
From a detail standpoint, you know, because if you can see all that detail, it usually means that you're a lot closer, and if you can't, it gives you a feeling of being a little further away. Angel has to go.
Well, Angel, thank you for joining us. Let's see here.
Bye, Angel.
The lights from this side. So, I think you're on. I mean, I would tell you to use the charcoal for...
Thank you, Angel.
Putting in your whites, but because these are high whites, charcoal does disappear when you varnish it. So I think in your case, I think it's just better to, in this case, use acrylic paint. I don't normally suggest it, but I think for what you're doing, that the acrylic paint would definitely, as long as you, and when I say thin, I'm talking, you've got the detail brushes, not me. I'm talking like really, really thin. I do think you can do, you see the light's coming from the right. There needs to be a little bit lighter on your cattail, just on one side, just to break it up a little bit. I guess I should probably take that photo down. Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, I thought you were still working with it.
No, I'm using this. That was just her prior, and I've been off screen. The tragedy. Nobody told me.
I thought you were working. I could see you working.
Yeah, over here on this one. The other one I had popped up was her piece from a year ago.
Well, yeah, I could see you working on this one, though.
Let's see. Yeah, the white is definitely going to give you the feeling you're looking for. See, the light is coming from the right. This side is going to be darker. What are you doing? Let's see here. Yeah, I think you're already off to a really great start. And you're not going to need a whole lot of white, if you ask me. It's just going to be a few of the main ones, because I think if you did any more, it'd be too much.
Amy has to go.
Bye, Amy.
So Amy, aka Handstand, has to go. She says thanks so much.
Thank you for submitting. She tested out the new email address and it worked.
Oh.
So if you're watching this on replay and you don't have Facebook, I am doing this for my subscribers. So if you want to be a part of the critique next month, then the email address is BurningArtAdvice@gmail.com. It's linked down in the description as well. Please submit that way. Because I know some people don't have Facebook.
Philip has to go too.
Bye, Philip! I can't wait till Philip's done with his piece that he's working on.
Does Philip have a YouTube channel?
He does not yet.
Oh, okay.
But he's doing a wonderful elephant carving that I can't wait to see in group.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Beryl, did I get everything? She had to leave for a minute. Well, then you didn't miss me being off screen. Win-win for both.
Mm.
I love the different tonal values here.
Mm-hmm.
So in making these darker and keeping this tonal value here, it definitely gives you the different layers of the feathers. You're doing a beautiful job. You really are.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure everything has shading underneath so it pops out.
Yes.
Yeah.
How much longer are we going?
As soon as Beryl tells me he has questions or doesn't have questions, as soon as that's part of the conversation is done,
oh,
then we're done.
Look up. Greg donated $10.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Why is it not showing up?
It did.
Where? It should be right here.
It showed up. I don't know. It didn't show up in the chat. It showed up on screen though. So
oh, okay. Then he did through Streamlabs.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you very much.
Thank
Greg.
you so much, Greg.
I can buy shoes.
Yes, we can get you those shoelaces you always wanted.
Oh man.
Should I shade the whole top wing, then go back and add the darks, then lastly the whites? I think you should put your darks in first, because if you just did your mediums and then you erased all your lines, you would lose them. So go in and get your darkest darks and then do your mediums and then yes, your lights. I think that would probably be the best bet, but it really all depends on how our brains look at things. I may look at it differently than you do. Let's see here. Your dark is here. You got a dark here, a little here, but you've only got darker, medium dark to medium for the thin feathers.
See, and I always work structurally, so I always work from the back forward. So that would dictate a whole different thing for me.
Yeah, let's not confuse anybody. It really, though, does matter on how your brain sees things. But I would, let's see here, because the feathers are different in the drawing versus the reference. Because in the reference, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different sections of the wing. Or is this the back?
She says, okay, just shade over top of the darks.
Yeah. Yep. I'm trying to see if...
I misread that. At first, I thought she said shave over top of the dorks, and I was wondering if she was making a reference to me.
No. So we've got... let's see, can't even see anything there. Alright, on the reference, we've got the base wing, this wing, this wing, and then we have a break here. Now, whether this is the rest of the part of the wing, I don't think so, actually, because this looks like we got a shoulder here. There we go. Okay, so this is the top of the wing. So you do have 3 different wing sets, or sets of feathers in the wings.
I'm laughing because you've been doing all this meticulous shading, and anybody watching this with the sound off, all of a sudden you're just drawing hard lines on there. Like, what's going on? Why is she doing that?
Beryl asked you a question.
Need a haircut, do you?
Okay, here. Actually, we have a wing here. This is okay.
Wait, how does she know I need a haircut?
Because you just said something about the dork and the... How you misread it. How did you misread it? Yeah, I'm thinking this is the top... Based on how Cheryl has it drawn out. Cheryl's is more stylized than realistic. Because she's got the...
She says she thinks the top layer is the back feathers. I think that that's correct.
What, right here?
Yeah. The part that sticks out.
Very possible. See, I know I'm doing patterns for the magazine, but see, this is why I don't do it. Because what I see may be different than what somebody else sees. And Cheryl isn't around to ask anymore. So, definitely personal preference. Yeah, I would go dark, medium, light. Oh, when you go to add your acrylic, what I would look at doing is sealing your piece first. And then putting your acrylic on top. And then seal some more.
Okay.
Because the acrylic... Well, it depends on the look you want from the acrylic. If you want the acrylic to be stand out, you would seal first and then paint the acrylic on top. If you want it to be less noticeable, you would put it directly on the wood and then seal.
Beryl says Cheryl's might not be a blue heron, but a green or a night heron.
That is possible. Yeah, see, not knowing... I don't know herons. I know they're birds. I know they're beautiful birds. I know they're birds that like water.
I know they're big birds.
They're big birds. So is Big Bird a heron? What is Big Bird?
I don't know.
Oh, God, more
It's
research.
Yellow. Oh, God. You probably will, won't you? Because somewhere on this planet, there is
an answer.
There's a group that's researched what kind of bird that Big Bird is.
Does anybody...
Based on...
Let us know either...
The appearance.
In chat right now or on replay. Do you know what kind of bird Big Bird is?
The characteristics of those species.
Because at this point, I'm just curious. I got so much work to do and more ideas to get done.
Are we about done then?
Yeah. If Pearl doesn't have anything else, if we got her. It's not like Pearl can't call me. She called me this morning.
That's true.
She got questions. She'll let me know.
Well, before we go...
It's looking beautiful, Beryl. I'm so proud of you. So proud of everybody. They all have been doing awesome work.
Yeah, they're doing amazing work.
Yes, they are. Let's see if I can back this out. So you
Beryl says dodo bird.
Dodo bird, huh?
You know, I think I've heard Big Bird say that.
That he's a dodo?
I think so.
Huh.
Interesting.
Interesting. Let's see. Now Beryl's just going to slide all over the place because she's stubborn like that.
Well, are you continuing to arrange stuff? Is that what you're doing here?
I'm trying to.
All right, well, you're doing that. She says, no, hello, I'll call Jason. Well, you're doing that. Thank you to Eve, our awesome mod.
Oh, yes, we did not love on her today, did we?
No.
I'm so sorry, Eve. Love, love, love.
Go. If you don't know her, go find her channel, Bolt's Vault. It's on Instagram, too. And go follow her work, because it's amazing. And I'm wondering what's going to happen to Adventure Cat next. So, you got to get on that, Eve, because you're leaving me hanging. And...
There we go. As close as I can get it, where everybody's fitted on the screen. So if we don't have any more questions, don't forget to like up the video. If you're watching this on replay, let me know down in the comments what you liked and didn't like. Be constructive, please. Be nice. But you can tell me what you didn't like. Can't fix anything if I don't know about it. Don't forget, you are awesome. You can do this. You're a Pyro artist. Happy burning, guys. Bye.
Bye.